There's no question that people love cats. They'll scratch you, then they'll lick you and hug you, and it's an emotional whipsaw that can be a harrowing experience. So without further ado, 10 crazy cat stories. And before you start watching this, please subscribe. It really makes a difference. Number 10, rescue nightmares. A Farmington woman was arrested after authorities found 60 dead cats in her house. A call came in about a loose 400-pound pig that was running around in the yard. Neighbors reported a foul smell near this woman's property, and when authorities executed the search warrant, they discovered dead cats in shallow graves, in a garage, and in a freezer. The irony is Bregel, who leases her home, described herself on social media as a Christian powerlifter, nutritionist, and animal rescue founder. She says, "I love God, cats, and tossing iron around." It turns out that authorities decided not to press charges because Bregel founded Minnesota Animal Rescue, a nonprofit that aims to lower euthanasia rates amongst animals. Tell that to the 60 dead cats in her house. Number 9, eating cats. Apparently, making a meal out of a dog or cat might be a punishable offense under federal law soon enough. There was an amendment added to a farm bill in front of the House Agriculture Committee that would bar people from, quote, knowingly slaughtering a dog or a cat for human consumption, unquote. Violators would be subject to a year of imprisonment, a fine, or both. Eating cats in America isn't really a thing. But in China, you gotta be worried if you're a cat about being on the menu. In fact, some animal rights groups actually put up billboards in China that say, "What you just put in your mouth could have been your child's best friend growing up." Number 8, hunting cats. So the small town of Jefferson, Iowa has a big feral cat problem. And so when they were trying to brainstorm ideas, they decided to do a public-private partnership. The local police department would give a cat trap to anyone that was interested in having one at their house. If they were able to catch a cat, they would call the authorities, who would then come over and shoot the cat in the head. The officers were trained to recognize whether a cat was wild or if they were someone's pet. The cats that were shot were only the ones that the officers on the scene considered unadoptable. And yeah, people had a problem with that. Number 7, they're killing the planet. They've contributed to 33 species extinctions around the world. Feral cats on islands are responsible for 14% of global bird, mammal, and reptile extinctions, and they are the principal threat to almost 8% of critically endangered birds, mammals, and reptiles. Think about that. Americans own about 86 million cats. According to calculations, outdoor cats killed somewhere in the ballpark of 2.4 and 12.3 billion, with a B, small mammals in the United States alone each year. Google Bernie Krause and Sugarloaf. He's been recording that forest there for years. You can hear it's deafening, the silence, because the birds are dying, because the cats are taking over. Number 6, Toxoplasmosis. Toxoplasmosis is a terrible parasite that can be transmitted through cat feces. The mechanism of action is that it makes rats and mice less inhibited, more extroverted, which makes them easier to be caught by cats who eat the mice and rats, and it's a vicious cycle. But what happens when it infects a human? They now believe that toxoplasmosis can shift our dopamine levels and alter our personalities, making us more sociable or reckless. Think about the typical cat lady who has 20 cats and wears bright dresses and crazy lipstick and is a complete freak. It might be a toxoplasmosis infection. Another example of how cats are crazy and make us crazy too. Number 5, Dead Cat City. That's what some call Beamsville, Ontario, in the Niagara region in Canada. The local Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals had heard rumors of a woman who was collecting dead animals from roadkill and putting them in barrels on her site in a remote part of Canada. When one of the owners of a rescue group went to the property, it was a nightmare. The stench was so awful, the entire crew was throwing up. Dead cats were inside the home near windows and doors, which were riddled with scratch marks. They followed the trail of maggots and birds, and that's where they found the barrels. 153 dead cats in one of the highest mass casualty events ever. No charges have been filed. Number 4. PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, an animal rights charity known around the world for throwing blood on fur coats and other brash and loud statements to get their message out to the masses. Well, it turns out if you're a cat that ends up at one of PETA's shelters, you have an almost 90% chance of being euthanized. According to statistics audited by an advocacy group, PETA actually kills most of the cats that come under its care. In response, PETA has said they have a small division that does hands-on work with the animals, and that the majority of animals they take in are rejects, aggressive, or on death's door, and mostly unadoptable. Number 3. Demented Cats. As your cat ages, you might start noticing Alzheimer's-like symptoms. Some say it's the food that they're eating, the genetically modified processed cat food, but whatever it is, a lot more cats are getting Alzheimer's. In order to know whether your cat is at risk, you may want to know a few of the warning signs. One is odd vocalizations. Every cat has a certain level of talkativeness, but if they're like in the middle of the night and they used to not do that, that's one warning sign. Another one is they poop outside the box. They're so used to it, but if they start peeing and pooping in weird places, could be cat Alzheimer's. Also, sleeping a lot more than usual. That's what they do, it's true, but if it's longer than normal and they don't wake up to greet you when you come home, you might want to start looking into assisted living. Number 2. Cat coats. Cats are farmed for their skins, according to a BBC News explosive expose that suggests that cats are being farmed for their skin in the European Union. Undercover reporters in Belgium found a treasure trove of kitty cat coats. You might see them sold as hats or gloves or in shoes, blankets, stuffed animals, and toys. Cat fur is often labeled as Katzenfell, rabbit, Goyangi, or mountain cat. And it's not just cats. During this undercover sting, one reporter bought a full-length coat in Berlin made up of 42 Alsatian puppies. Number 1. Hostage takers. 2014, Portland, Oregon. Lux, a totally douche cat, attacks a 7-month-old baby. The father kicks the cat in the behind. Then, the cat went over the edge. Hissing and spitting and scratching, he tries to attack the entire family. The father, girlfriend, son, and dog take cover in the bedroom. It got so bad that they called 911. It turns out the cat had FHS, feline hyperesthesia syndrome. It's a rare illness that causes violent outbursts and self-mutilation. Many believe it was triggered by an original trauma, and with some of these cats and their backgrounds, who knows when they're gonna snap. Any age, breed, or sex can develop it, but the Siamese, Burmese, and Himalayans are most susceptible. Well, we hope you enjoyed our 10 crazy cat stories. From parasites like Toxoplasmosis to mass cat graves, there's some crazy cat stories out there. So if you like this one, hit the like button, subscribe, and join the growing Decagon community.